You're tuned in to Get Right Fantasy.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, friends? Daniel Dopp here from the Fantasy Focused Football Podcast over on ESPN.
It's Fab, so you're Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated.
You know who you can trust if you've got some questions about your fantasy squad?
Want to check out a cool show on YouTube that'll help you get ready for the fantasy football season?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Head on over to YouTube. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network because they're doing everything they can to make you a better fantasy player.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You're tuned in to Get Right Fantasy.
What's going on tonight, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? What a game. What a game that was. So, hey, cheers. Congrats to our Atlanta Falcons for making that an interesting one. You know, they know how to lose a game in pretty epic fashion, you know, more than most people. They know how to win one in pretty epic fashion. So, always happy when you get an offensively minded Thursday night game. You know, I feel like I start a lot of the defenses on Thursday night. You know, short week. I feel like the game plan's just neutered and not a time where you're seeing a whole lot of top end production. Yeah, that was actually turned into a fun one. Little comedy of errors, and then the fourth quarter too. I mean, yeah, for all intents and purposes, right outside of Atlanta Falcons doing weird things, and the Bucs kind of fumbling it, turning it over away, right? That kind of seemed like a game where the Bucs were kind of just going to run away with it at some point there, right? The Bake Show got their swag back just enough. You know, Atlanta kind of handed them pretty good opportunities, and they were good enough, you know, in the red zone, putting up some tutties there. But then, man, they kind of just gave the ball back to Atlanta. You know, and I felt like when they went up, when they put 28 on the board, I was wondering, okay, Atlanta, are you going to be able to go down if you just get a field goal and the offense kind of just has a couple spurts, but it doesn't keep the foot on the gas? I'm looking at Cousins' stat line, and I'm thinking to myself going into the fourth quarter, you know, even looking at it at halftime, I was thinking, you know, what am I going to talk about right now? He's having a pretty good game. Second half's going to tell the tape, right? Is he gonna choke? What's he gonna do? And he, yeah, definitely. And I won't say prove me wrong, but that drive was extremely instrumental. Just made all the throws, patient enough. Seemed like either Tampa Bay couldn't get to him, or their O-line really held up. I'd have to rewatch it a little bit, but definitely some great quarterback play by Kirk Cousins there. With some of the underwhelming quarterback play in the NFL, you look at what Geno did, at least to our expectations, and a roster that had some juice at some point, right? They didn't quite come together this year, but I think that's mostly a Geno problem. You know, Kirk's what? I think he's 30. No, he's 38. You know, is he starting to play himself into an interesting bridge option going into next year? You know, with this incoming quarterback class, we're kind of looking at it like there's a couple guys that might benefit from a few more snaps in college. They might not be as ready to go. Probably need a veteran to step in for a little bit. So Cousins definitely playing his way into some interesting conversations when it comes to the dynasty quarterback landscape. You know, did he go from dust to kind of an ultra cheap 1-year bridge in the way that Brissett's kind of playing himself into that kind of form as well? So pretty interesting. But back to Falcons and Buccaneers. Let's break it down a little bit. I got 2 full pages of notes actually. Took one out of. I'm trying to be the young Colin Coward over here, doing my best old man, sipping on my wine, watching the game, taking some notes tonight. But all right, let's start with the fantasy relevant stuff. Bijan Robinson, man, he's good. man, is he fantastic. Our group chat for Get Right was talking during the game a little bit, and just it's like he's ice skating out there. He just really looks the part of, it seems like the game is moving a little bit slower for him than for everybody else. Just real smooth. Just never seems frantic. Just always seems in control. I think that comes with an elite level of awareness, and the ability to change speed and direction in a way that just seems so natural to him. Other people literally snap their ligaments doing what he's doing, making it look so easy. And on the receiving line too, one of the things I tend to harp on with a lot of offenses is it seems like like the modern NFL puts up with the run game. It's not their favorite, but they need to do it because you can't just bury yourself in third and longs all the time. You give yourself a chance, right? Keep the defense honest a little bit, but they're moving a little bit more and more away from it with the rules favoring the passing game a little bit. And O-line's kind of deteriorating a little bit to some extent as well. But, he ended up with kind of a gaudy stat line of 8 receptions on 11 targets for 82 yards, right? High-end wide receiver numbers. But, quietly, I think midway through, I think the third, maybe earlier in the third. So it was looking like it was going to be a pretty good game for him. He just had a nice, comfortable 4 for 41. And I remember watching the game up to that point thinking, man, Bijan he just manufactures these really easy moving the chains. We're not going to do it enough that you can really punish us for it. Enough that it was just 4 for 41, right? He wasn't busting off some crazy Jahmyr Gibbs stuff. And there was enough where he would pretty much get, tackled, for nothing or a very short gain. But the amount of times he's able to turn that into 10 or 15, just a good chunk gain, get that first down. And the amount of times just taking that for 5 yards is really, really good. I kind of harp on it a little bit, but with an offense that didn't have much of an identity without Drake London, obviously we'll get to Kyle Pitts here in a little bit, but a team that I didn't know what they were going to do. I was writing down early on. I know they were moving the ball okay when Cousins was 8 for 10. I was still thinking to myself, okay, Kyle Pitts is getting some usage here, but I don't think they really know what they are. Feels like every play is either a good Bijan run or they're going to try to throw to Bijan, or they're looking for him and something didn't materialize because Bijan wasn't making something happen. So I don't think that changes anything. I think we already kind of knew that about Bijan, but on the fantasy football side of things and the dynasty side of things, you kind of talk about super premiums, and if you're really going to drop a bunch of stuff, one of the principles I tend to follow much more in dynasty fantasy right now is if you just play really good principled football, it's more about making less mistakes. You want to make a lot of transactions. You want to move. You want to put some things into play. You want to call your shots, right? But in the draft and picks and then trades, for the most part, going for just locking in really, really not great value, but just not taking any risks. The BTJ stuff, you never quite maybe trading it aggressively, getting in on like an Aronde Gadsden or just situations like that where it's like, look, just calm down a little bit. There's a difference between good situations, someone taking advantage of it, and just an elite level talent in a situation where the team also, there's like a team identity, team faith situation where it allows just elite level usage. And it can pop up in strange situations from time to time, depending on who's calling the plays. But Bijan's interesting in that he's similar to a couple other RBs in value right there at the tippy top. But I think his longevity and what he's going to be doing in the league just for a long time. And this is an Atlanta team that I think could be a little bit better on offense, to be honest, too. Yeah, man, just lock him in as the easiest, calmest RB1. I know McCaffrey's putting up more points. Gibbs can be a little flashier, beats him in touchdowns, but hard to argue that he's probably the most consistent, top 3-4 finish, pencil him in RB that you're going to see in quite some time. So made it look real good. Love to see running backs being so influential for a team's win-loss column too. Right, that we don't really see that in the modern NFL very often. Normally, it's a luxury position. Normally, it's if they're good, it's the cherry on top. But they're not swinging the matchup nearly in the way that the quarterback play is, or just overall positional play in general. They're not moving the needle enough, right? You don't see that with enough teams. You saw that like with Saquon with the Eagles last year was an example that we hadn't seen in a little while, and yet still it was almost muted by the fact that Jalen Hurts would have done it another way, and there were so many ways for that team to win outside of Saquon. He was just there. Fun seeing that with JT this year a little bit, but I think Bijan is the much better example of a team that outside of him, I just don't think they have much of an identity. We'll kind of get to it right now with Kyle Pitts being a bit of an identity I think they can get behind. Really seeing that work. I don't know how much I can trust it because I have to be honest. I don't think the Bucs have a very good defense. I think that was pretty apparent on some drives where I think Atlanta was lucking into, broken play. I guess you get to have a pretty nice gain here. It didn't feel as earned as I've seen watching other games this year, right? So a little bit of an issue there. I don't want to overreact to the Kyle Pitts crazy blow-up game, just mostly because I want to see it against a few other defenses. You don't need to see it against a great defense. That's hard to ask, but seemed like the Bucs were just really not doing much. David Sills isn't some rookie that's coming out of nowhere. He's been in the league. This is his 6th year. I had to look that up a little bit because I knew I had heard him, seen him before, but I really had to do a double take there. And so situations like that where it's like a lot. I think a lot of people could have done anything. I guess while we're on that, I'll just kind of mention Mooney, I think, is pretty dead for dynasty purposes. I don't know what's going on, but either he's just really not at 100% or he was taking advantage of just a crazy situation because he was so influential to the team previously. And then I know he gets injured pretty bad, and it's kind of ambiguous. That was one of those injuries that it gave me not Joe Mixon vibes, but it gave me some serious, like, what is going on? Clearly something's up. He's not the same person, or he was never really talented enough that if he took time off, it was going to take him a long time to get back to just kind of good. Type of player where if you lose 5-10%, that was everything. That's what you needed to be meaningful. Maybe that happened here. I don't know. But Mooney, and I bought him in Dynasty too, thinking he was a really, really cheap wide receiver too that could maybe get the occasional Michael Pittman treatment of like, oops, he's actually much better than we think. That looks pretty bad. I mean, we'll have to see next season, but I feel like this offense is going to get other weapons in and around it just out of necessity, and that his career is not fully over, but he's going to need to get a lot better all of a sudden. So maybe he has a big offseason. Maybe it was the injury. We'll have to see. Maybe he goes from a dust player that's worth, he goes from almost droppable or like a 4th worthy pick to he could be a cheap buy. So we'll have to think about that a little bit more. I'm tired. Let's get into the critical fantasy takes here. So what moved the needle up and down? We talked about the quarterbacks. Cousins actually becomes interesting as a bridge quarterback. Baker clearly, when all the pieces are there, when Evans is there and doing his thing, that's the offense that we know and love. That's the Baker knowing how to work that offense that's kind of built around Mike Evans quite well. I know he didn't have the game that we wanted him to. Couple opportunities where a little bit of a better throw could have unlocked a bigger game, and just some unfortunate stuff. You could say Bucky got unlucky with the Sean Tucker touchdown, but that's another touchdown that didn't go to my boy Egbuka So I'm just defending Egbuka here real quick and saying there was a game where there was a decent amount of points and touchdowns scored. He could have been a part of that, just wasn't this week. But I like the way they use him. When Evans is doing what he's doing, the routes that I think they have Egbuka running, I think are really nice. And I think his role is just so much better when Evans is there. Doesn't make me concerned for when Evans is not there next year. I just think the idea is that offense and Egbuka's role in that offense is good when there's lots of good weapons attacking in different ways. And when they lose Evans as the true X and they have a little bit of a smaller offensive core, but I think it's going to look great between Godwin, Egbuka, and McMillan for whatever time period that is. That's going to look pretty nice. So I like the passing attack. I like Egbuka in it. I wanted him to get the touchdown or catch that one more 20-yard pass so you can feel pretty good about in a 13-14 point night. Didn't quite get there. Got you 10.4 in PPR, but hopefully my advice to I'm staying in the Flames with him didn't burn you too bad. I think that's pretty serviceable. It's like the Wandale line when he has a slightly down game. Obviously, this is why we said if Mike Evans is healthy, you play him. You just play him every time. Clearly showed that. All-time talent. I think you saw on display elite ball tracker. Maybe there's a sell window. I'd sell him for anything I can get. You saw him taking those hits and still feeling him. He's going to be great, but for the dynasty purposes, he's a player that I think you're happy to overpay when he's producing, and then you want to get out as soon as you can. But he's never a player that you should buy until you know that you are in a playoff situation. And unfortunately, with his injury, you couldn't really invest in him for this playoff. Because we didn't know if he was going to be playing or how it was going to pan out. Right. So, anyways, moving on. Igbuka, his arrow was down. I think we saw reasons for that to go back up. Godwin, 4 catches, 5 targets, catches the touchdown. Gets some meaningful work there at the end of the game. I think I saw him, be a savvy veteran. I think he lost a little bit of a step there. He wasn't moving on the field as well as Igbuka was. That felt pretty good. And I do feel like when McMillan's fully installed, those two are going to vulture each other a little bit. But overall, good for the offense, good for Baker. A little disappointing. I like to see Bucky Irving. He was reasonably efficient. I do like to see the team showed some faith in him doing that wildcat stuff, the direct snap. That was pretty interesting. Tells me that the team can rally behind him as a great runner. But seeing Tucker have that much goal line involvement was that wasn't quite Charbonnet, but it was enough that I'm legitimately concerned. It does look like Rashad White's probably going to leave in the offseason, get paid, probably be a decent free agent pickup as a decent bridge back, relatively inexpensive for some team. But it does look like Sean Tucker's probably going to, this was the game, but I think I'd project this just to be the case going into even next season, is going to be Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker, 1-2 punch. Sean Tucker can play the Kyle Monangai role to DeAndre Swift. I think that's probably a pretty apt comparison here. So as long as the offense is good, you like Bucky. He had another red zone target. Pass was tipped at the line. Probably wasn't going to be a touchdown anyways, but you were definitely happy seeing that he was getting another red zone look. So, hey, by the way, I literally just turned on comments. By the way, I wasn't even paying attention. So sorry, I know Vike's probably been here hanging out for 20 minutes, man. What's going on, Vike? Yeah, out at the cave, man, doing the thing. But sorry, I know this light, my lighting is atrocious right now. So sorry about that. I'm blinding myself over here. Hope you're having a good night, Vike. But let's wrap up the takes here because I'm exhausted. I need to get to bed. Got a fun day doing some charity work tomorrow. It's going to be real fun. Wrapping some Christmas presents, taking care of a couple families tomorrow that our work does. So it's going to be pretty cool. Kyle Pitts. I've always been buying it. I thought Kyle Pitts' problem was an offensive scheme. He's injured. Also, he's not been mentally strong enough to figure out how to play good when the opportunities are there. Sometimes it was slightly underwhelming, not outright terrible, but he's been a little bit of his own worst enemy in a lot of ways too. And I can see it would take a pretty strong, savvy coach to make that happen. In this case, you can't give the coaches credit. This is just he was forced into it and he delivered. But the combination of Kirk finally looking better, plus Pitts all of a sudden, it feels legit because a bunch of things happened. Cousins hasn't looked good for the past couple of weeks, and Pitts hasn't looked good for the past couple of years. So I'm just saying, grain of salt. He was the only guy in town, and maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary just can't stop anything. And I did actually like the way they used Kyle Pitts quite a bit. Just some of the route trees and concepts they were doing, I just think made a lot of sense. And it just felt like Pitts got a lot of these, half his passes could have been designed for almost a Bijan situation, but it was just who's going to catch this intermediate kind of route. Is it going to be Pitts? Is it going to be Bijan? That was legitimately how the offense kind of functioned, with Sills being the only actual wide receiving person out there. Pitts did function like a wide receiver. Here's the thing. He caught some tough passes that could have been drops. I think he ran some decent routes. He didn't cough up the ball. I thought some of those situations could have been more fumbles. I think he did pretty decent there. Red zone use is pretty good. Arrow definitely pointing up for Kyle Pitts. He's just so crazy young and clearly athletic. And if we like guys like Aronde Gadsden and we really can get behind them, then I think we shouldn't be too quick to come off the Kyle Pitts train, right? If we're so quick to buy into like a Tucker, right? Or even to some extent, Theo Johnson isn't like a prototypical great pass catching tight end. At least he wasn't in college. We're starting to fall in love with these decent tight end prospects really fast because we're chasing the McBrides and stuff of the world, and it's easy to fall out of love with them pretty quick. But I've always felt like you should probably stay in the flames with Kyle Pitts because, I mean, give the team enough iterations to figure itself out, and you could have something here. So that yeah, it feels good, man. I don't like own a ton of Kyle Pitts. I've sold him in some spots. I've bought him in some spots, pretty neutral. But I'm curious to see where his dynasty price goes. I feel like he was hitting a really nice value spot here for a while. I wish I was preaching that a little bit more because I really did think he was kind of a value buy because of how low he was being valued. But after this, whoever owns him is going to be in for another. They're going to ride him through 26 too, and we'll have to see how that goes. So I'm in the stands of probably keeping him though. I think he's good production on a team that I think is headed in the right direction offensively for the most part, like the new coaching staff in town there. I think we covered everybody. Bucky 0, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit down, ceiling capped. I can't look at Bucky the same way that I was one of the biggest Bucky Irving truthers and believers out there before while he was having his breakout and then afterwards through the injury. But I do think his ceiling is a little bit capped here. And there are some situations where he's very good, not great. Not just good, he will be very good. But in the same way that Kyron's doing quite well and is still a very productive back, he's getting quorumed like we always thought he would. It just took a year longer than we thought. I think I always saw Bucky as a guy that was going to get Sean Tuckered by a Sean Tucker. I just think the offense is good enough that, like with a Gibbs, we don't mind. Gibbs is also he's much more talented than Bucky. It's not a knock on Bucky. It's more of a pro Gibbs situation. But I do think we need to be cautious with Bucky's value in Dynasty. Running back position is already a little bit of we don't want to invest too much into it, but if you're going to invest for the long haul, Bucky's probably not someone I'm doing. I like him attached to a good offense, but touchdowns are going to get spread around quite a bit. I didn't like the pass catching usage for Bucky. I need to see that come back. If they have so many wide receivers that it just doesn't seem to be the case where it makes sense to have Bucky out there as an additional receiving threat where they want someone like perhaps Sean Tucker and even whoever else on their back is brought in is a better in pass protection. Bucky's not the body type that I think is going to be great in pass pro. And with the receiving core, it looks like Bucky might lose a lot of situational pass protection situations. He might be in on less third downs than I'm expecting. And I saw Sean Tucker and I saw Rachaad White in on more third downs than I really would have anticipated in pure pass protection roles. So that's the thing to watch in the next couple games of the season, right? In a couple Panthers games that's coming up, big games for the team. What's their Bucky utilization? I really want to watch that carefully. I'm watching this whole team's usage a little bit, but I want to see who's passing the eye test on the team, who's passing the vibes test, where's the body language. Like one thing I like to see from Egbuka was he was celebrating with his teammates on the touchdowns. He was super happy for Godwin. He's that guy, and because of that, he's coachable. He's going to be on the field. He's a quarterback's best friend, but he's easy to get behind. I'm looking for that from other folks as well. I'm hoping, and I did see a little bit of that from Bucky, so I think that's why the team and Baker have that much faith in him. I need to see that translate to a little bit more usage in the passing game. I mean, give him some credit. When you've got Mike Evans on the field, but you throw a red zone target to Bucky Irving, that's elite usage. I want to see more like 4 or 5 targets if we can get there. So, but when you're attempting 34 pass attempts, I mean, just not a ton of them are going to go to the running back. But, Bucky Irving, 3 targets. I need to see that as his floor. I'd like to see a few more. So, man, Nino Pena, besides his couple bye weeks, man, went up in Pitts in 2 out of 3 leagues tonight. Yeah, but I'm facing him in 2 dynasty leagues myself. I have quite a bit more than 3 dynasty leagues, but I just don't think the advance rate on Pitts was supposed to be this good. You just didn't expect to see Pitts in your playoffs. I thought I was going to be playing against, I don't know, just not Pitts, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but Brutal because in brutal fashion too. And it's one of those. It was such a big game. Tight end premium is pretty popular, so when I'm playing him in various ranges of TEP, I mean, he just ended your week, and there's still a shot, right? But it feels pretty over going into Sunday. Hey, on the plus side, it's like playing with house money now. When you go into that matchup, you're like you take your licks today, have a couple extra cocktails. There's a league I'm going up against Pitts in where, I've got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. I wasn't really set up to win this year. I've got a young core that's just overproducing a little bit. Wasn't planning. I thought I would make the playoffs. I like my team, but I didn't think this was the year I'd go all the way, right? I was still kind of building. This is the league where I went up against Pitts, right? So I'm not super worried there, right? But oh yeah, man. Dude, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. There was another league where I really did think that, like, dude, I didn't think it week 1, but by week 3, I was really feeling it, and things went the way it was supposed to. And I thought I'm so surprised. I think I'm the 3rd seed. I'm in that 3-4 situation where I just barely missed out on a bye, and now we're gonna be out to Pitts. So there's those lineups where, my goodness, man, we thought they were gonna advance, but they did not. So, congrats to Pitts, though, man. And the Pitts owners, I mean, you got to chalk it up, right? They deserved it. If you held Kyle Pitts this long, for the mental health of them and their team, cheers to Kyle Pitts owners everywhere, right? For the 3 of you that started him, here's the crazy thing: you probably should have started Kyle Pitts. If your team's so good, you might have had another wide receiver you could flex in, or maybe it's not tight end premium. But this was the matchup without London and going up against a bad secondary. Everything says, like, dude, Pitts is going to eat tonight, right? So it's funny that the folks that, like, didn't start him in the spots where, like, it's okay, everyone's starting him. Maximum punished for, like, if you own him and you didn't start him in this matchup because that's how little you think of him in the spot, probably should have sold him by now, right? So not try to rub it in the people that he's rotting on their benches. He's literally on my bench in one league, but my team is so stupidly stacked in that league. Like, it's you'd understand with where I'm at. Yeah. And Nino, what else you got? In at least one of the leagues, he's got a Josh Allen Puka, so anything's possible. Yeah. I'm that guy in a few leagues, man. I bought me an Allen share. I bought me a Puka. You know me, I usually sell all the time. I rarely buy. But when I do, it's Josh Allen and Puka Nacua. And I dropped, in this one league, I think I had 9 first-round picks at one point going, like, before week 1, I had about 9 first-round picks ready to go. Or some combination of that. It was even more at one point. And we ended up selling every single one of them. We got ourselves Puka Nacua. We got ourselves Jamar Chase. I think I parlayed a couple others for some other stuff, but started off with 9, have 0 now. Hopefully we're taking down the title, though. Anyways, it's been fun. This was a little bit of a beta test. I'm hopefully doing more of this. I can't be doing this quite as late, but I want to do real NFL reactions. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NFL implications. I just want to talk about the football teams. What I thought happened, what I think about the rest of season for the teams. Gotta be honest, I'll throw them a big shout out for our little team here. But I'm a big fan of Colin Cowherd. Love John Middlecoff. Love what they're doing over at the Volume. I watch his reactions. I like watching the NFL. I like how business and coaching affects the NFL more than anything, and I like the idea of playing quarterback general manager quite a bit. And so that definitely inspired this a little bit. So if you like reactions, definitely check his reaction videos out. It's all the things. I'll be watching his pretty shortly here. But we'll give this a shot. We'll try to dial it in a little bit. Definitely let us know if you like the fantasy takes a little bit more. If you want to hear more dynasty, I can go way more in depth on my dynasty rankings up and down, things to watch, buy low, sell highs based off of this game, market value. I was just kind of doing a pretty basic overview here. But we'll dial it in, figure out what's most popular, what we want to talk about. And hey, until then, fun game, big game, a lot of points, a lot of offense. two offenses that moved the ball in the passing attack in very different ways, right? One team had basically no tight end, the other was all tight end, right? Bucky versus Bijan is very different, right? So couldn't be more polar opposite in how they went about their production. But glad it was kind of a fun barn burner. Came down to a game-winning field goal. That was good, man. Should be interesting. Let's watch the Bucs. They got a pair of interesting games against the Panthers coming up. This did not help them, but they can still kind of win out against the Panthers and probably still get into the playoffs. Pretty strong shot they will, but they got to play better than that tonight. So, hey, y'all have a great rest of your night. If you're watching this tomorrow, have a good Friday, good day of work. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. Have a great weekend, and I will catch you guys on the Friday night stream. Cheers.